Fat looks quiet. It sits there. It waits. But some fat is far more active than it appears. Not all fat is the same, and the fat around your belly follows a completely different rule book. It behaves differently, reacts differently, and resists change in ways most people never expect. That is why two people can eat the same food, follow the same routine, and still get very different results. One area shrinks, the belly stays. This video explains why that happens. By the end, you will understand why belly fat is not just extra weight, why it responds to stress before calories, and why common advice fails so many people. You will learn how your body treats belly fat as a priority zone, not a problem zone, and why this makes it harder to lose than fat on your arms, legs, or hips. Most discussions stop at calories and exercise, but the real story goes deeper. Belly fat is connected to hormones, survival signals, and internal protection systems that most people never hear about. These systems were designed to keep humans alive during danger and food shortages, and they still operate today, even in modern life. This is why effort alone does not always work. This is why pushing harder can sometimes make the problem worse. This video breaks down what actually makes belly fat different, using clear language and simple ideas, without confusion or extreme claims. It connects the dots between stress, metabolism, and fat storage in a way that finally makes sense. Each part builds on the last, so watching until the end matters. The final insight changes how everything before it fits together, and without it, the picture stays incomplete. This is not about quick tricks or temporary fixes. It is about understanding the system so you stop fighting your own biology. Once that clicks, the frustration drops and progress becomes possible. If belly fat has felt stubborn, unfair, or confusing, this video explains why, and more importantly, what that means for your next step. Stay with us, because the details you are about to hear are rarely explained this clearly, and they change how you see your body forever. Welcome to the channel, where we break down real body science in a simple way. Subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next. Most people grow up with a very simple idea about fat. Fat is seen as extra weight that sits on the body because of eating too much or moving too little. In this view, fat is passive. It does nothing. It just waits to be burned. So the solution feels obvious. Eat less. Burn more, count calories, move your body. This belief works just enough to feel true. When people diet, they often notice changes in their face, arms, or legs. Clothes feel looser, the scale moves. This reinforces the idea that fat loss is only about calories. But then something strange happens. The belly barely changes, weeks pass, effort increases, food gets stricter. Workouts get harder. Still, the belly stays. This creates confusion. If fat is just stored energy, why does one area respond while another refuses? This is where the common belief breaks down. Fat does not behave the same everywhere. The belly does not follow the same rules as the rest of the body. Treating all fat as equal hides the real problem. It also explains why so many people feel stuck even when they are disciplined. The issue is not effort, it is misunderstanding. Belly fat is not just extra weight sitting there waiting to be burned. It has a role, it has priority, and it has protection. Once this difference is understood, the gap between effort and results finally starts to make sense. Another overlooked truth is that belly fat is not even one single thing. It feels like one area, but inside the body, it exists in two very different forms. One type sits just under the skin. This is the soft layer that can be pinched. It responds somewhat to diet and movement. The second type sits deeper inside the belly, wrapped around internal organs. This fat is hidden. It cannot be seen from the outside at first, but it has a much stronger influence on the body. This deeper fat behaves differently. It reacts faster to stress. It releases more signals. It is closely connected to how the body manages energy and safety. This is why two people with the same body weight can have very different health outcomes. One may carry more deep belly fat even if they look normal. This deeper fat is the real challenge. It is not just stored fuel, it is active tissue. It interacts with the body every day. When people focus only on surface changes, they miss what is happening underneath. This is why belly fat feels stubborn. It is not just sitting there, it is involved, and the body treats it as important. Unlike fat in the arms or legs, belly fat is biologically active. This means it sends and receives messages. It responds to what is happening in daily life. It reacts to pressure, lack of sleep, emotional strain, and constant alertness. Belly fat releases signals into the bloodstream. These signals influence how the body uses energy, how hungry a person feels, and how much fat gets stored or released. This changes everything. Fat is no longer just a storage unit. It becomes part of the communication system. The belly acts like a control center for energy balance. When the body senses danger or pressure, this area responds first. This is why belly fat can increase even without major changes in food. Long hours, mental stress, poor sleep, and constant tension all send the same message to the body. That message is to protect and store. Belly fat listens closely to that message. Other fat areas do not react as strongly. This difference is critical. It explains why two people with similar habits can have very different belly sizes. The signals matter more than the calories. Hormones play a major role in this process. Stress hormones are especially important here. When stress levels rise, the body shifts into protection mode. Energy becomes precious. Safety becomes the priority. The body looks for a place to store fuel quickly and efficiently. The belly is that place. It is close to vital organs. It allows fast access to energy if needed. This is not a mistake. It is design. In the past, this response helped humans survive. Today, the same system is triggered by deadlines, worry, lack of rest, and constant stimulation. The body cannot tell the difference between physical danger and mental pressure. It reacts the same way. Stress hormones signal the belly to store fat and to hold on to it tightly. This does not happen as strongly in the arms or legs. Those areas are less sensitive to these signals. This is why effort alone often fails. Eating less while staying stressed sends mixed messages. One part of the body is told to burn. Another part is told to protect. The belly listens to protection first. This conflict explains why extreme dieting can backfire. When food intake drops too low, stress rises. The body senses shortage. Hormones shift. The belly responds by slowing fat release and increasing storage signals. The result feels unfair. Less food leads to less progress in the very area people want to change. Hard workouts can create a similar problem. Intense exercise without enough recovery raises stress hormones. This can improve strength and endurance while leaving belly fat untouched. Again, the issue is not the workout itself. It is the signal it sends when combined with pressure and fatigue. The body chooses survival over appearance every time. Belly fat is central to that choice. This is why focusing only on calories misses the deeper system at work. Calories matter, but they are not the full story. The body is not a simple machine. It is a responsive system. Belly fat sits at the center of that system. It reacts to the environment, the mind, and daily habits. Treating it like any other fat ignores its role. That is why standard advice works partially but fails completely for many people. The belly is listening to different signals. Until those signals change, results stay limited. Understanding this difference is the turning point. It shifts the focus away from blame and toward biology. It explains why willpower alone is not enough and why smarter strategies matter more than harder ones. The belly is not just another place where fat happens to collect. It sits at the center of the body for a reason. Inside the belly are organs that keep you alive. The body knows this. From a biological point of view, the belly is a high-value zone. Protecting it is a priority. This is why energy is stored close to it. Fat around the belly acts like a backup supply. It is fast to reach and easy to use when the body senses danger. Long ago, this helped humans survive periods of hunger, cold, and physical threat. Energy stored near vital organs meant quick access during emergencies. That survival system never disappeared. It still runs in the background today. The body does not care about mirrors or waistlines. It cares about safety. When the body decides energy might be needed soon, it stores it where it feels safest. That place is the belly. Because of this, belly fat is guarded. The body does not give it up easily. When calories drop or activity increases, the body first releases fat from areas it considers less critical. Arms, legs, and face are easier to draw from. The belly is held back. It is defended. This defense is not a flaw. It is a feature. The body treats belly fat like an emergency reserve. That is why it feels locked. That is why it feels harder to reach. The logic is simple once seen. If danger comes, the body wants fuel close to the organs that matter most, so it protects that fuel. This survival backup system explains why dieting alone often feels disappointing. Eating less does reduce fat, but not evenly. The body reacts to reduced food as a signal. That signal is not just about weight, it is about availability. Less food tells the body that resources may be limited. The natural response is caution. Metabolism slows slightly. Energy use becomes more efficient. The body tries to make less do more. At the same time, stress hormones rise. Even calm people experience this internally when food drops too fast or too low. The body senses imbalance. That stress pushes the survival system into action. Belly fat, being the backup reserve, becomes more protected, not less. This is why people can lose weight on the scale while their waist barely changes. The body is choosing where to let go and where to hold on. Dieting harder often increases this effect. Skipping meals, extreme restriction, and constant hunger all add pressure. Pressure increases stress. Stress strengthens belly fat defense. This creates a loop that feels frustrating. The person feels disciplined. The body feels threatened. The result is partial progress and a stubborn middle. This is not because dieting does not work. It is because dieting alone sends incomplete signals. Exercise on its own can create a similar problem. Movement is healthy. Activity is essential, but the type and intensity matter. Hard workouts burn calories, but they also create stress inside the body. This stress is not always bad, but without enough recovery, it adds to the overall load. When workouts are intense and frequent and rest is limited, stress hormones stay elevated. Again, the body hears one message louder than all others. That message is to protect energy. The belly responds by tightening its grip. People often notice this pattern. They train harder. They sweat more. They feel stronger. Yet the belly looks unchanged. This feels confusing because effort is high. The contradiction keeps attention. Exercise is supposed to help, and it does, but not in isolation. When movement increases stress without balancing signals, belly fat defense increases too. The body is not refusing to change. It is responding exactly as designed. It is choosing survival over appearance. Over time, this leads to a common emotional response. People start blaming themselves. They assume the problem is laziness or lack of discipline. Others blame age, genetics, or bad luck. These explanations feel personal and heavy, but they miss the real reason. Belly fat feels stubborn because it is treated differently by the body. It is not a moral failure. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not proof that someone is doing everything wrong. It is biology responding to signals. The body reads the environment constantly. It reacts to food availability, stress levels, sleep quality, and recovery. Belly fat sits at the center of that response system. When signals point toward danger or pressure, belly fat stays. When signals point towards safety and balance, the body slowly allows access to that reserve. This shift changes everything. It removes shame from the process. It replaces frustration with understanding. The most important realization is that belly fat is different by design. It exists for a reason. That reason is protection, not punishment. Because of this, it needs a different approach. The body must be shown that it is safe to release that stored energy. That safety does not come from force. It comes from changing signals, lowering stress, improving recovery, supporting the body instead of constantly pushing it. Calories and movement still matter, but they are part of a larger picture. When the signals change, the response changes. This sets the stage for what comes next, because once the body stops defending the belly, everything else becomes easier to understand. What you've learned here changes the way belly fat should be viewed. It's not random, and it's not working against you. It's responding to signals. Once those signals are understood, the whole struggle starts to look different. If this surprised you, the next part matters even more because food does more than add calories. What you eat can quietly turn these signals down and tell your body it's safe to let go. That's exactly what we'll break down next. What to eat to keep belly fat off for good without extremes or confusion. If this explanation made sense to you, show it some support. Like the video so more people can understand their body instead of fighting it. Share it with someone who's been stuck and frustrated for no clear reason. And subscribe to the channel for real body science explained simply, because the next video connects everything you've just learned to real practical action.